the sacrificial lamb lays on the altar. No. For you who've been reloading for a while, probably know what I'm going to do now. I was sitting here, I was getting down to near the end. I do 100 batches of ammo, and I was in one of my other reloading videos. I told you I'd tell you about these dies. Well, I got one stuck, and the funny thing was, this is one that I'd already sized earlier. Been sitting on the desk for a while, just some leftover Remington. I got a whole bunch of these once fired Remingtons going off of Midway, and there's a lot of dents in them, man. There's a lot of dents in them. But anyway, I lube with like motor oil. Syntec is what I use. I just put it on a paper towel, roll it. You can see the oil build up on them, and a lot of people says, "Oh no, you can't put that much oil in them. They'll leave dents in them." Very rarely do I ever notice a dent that comes in it that wasn't already there, because this probably came from a government range, and you know how people don't have to pay for the ammo, they just step on the brass, they don't care. Anyway, so I picked up one of these that was already decapped in size. There's 6 of them. I finished out my 500 and I was 6 short, so I had 6 of them sitting over here in the sacrificial pile. So I put it with this, so I'd have 100 batch, right? I tried 7, so I had 101. Now I'm back. As soon as I kill this one, it'll be back down to 100. I didn't lube it, okay, but it had already been sized, and I'd been sizing for a while. My dies were wet on the inside. It got stuck. So these people would say, "Oh no, don't put oil on them. They just want you to get it stuck," and then laugh about it. Okay, now this is a Lee full-length resizer die, minus the pin, which is there, and the little pipe-threaded grommet thing. I can't remember what they call these. This is what holds your die, holds your decapping rod at the top. Reason I think not putting enough oil on them is, people do that. See, the thing is, there's a hole there, and that comes out right there on the bottom of the shoulder. I doubt, there's no way my crappy camera will show it, but it comes out right on the bottom there, just after it starts turning up. And the reason Lee puts that there is to relieve pressure, not from air or anything. Well, I'm sure air comes out of there, but oil also comes out of there. So if you're using Lee dies, I really don't think you're ever going to dent one with oil. You might, I doubt it, but anyway. So when you get one stuck, you have a couple things that'll happen. One, your decapping rod will push up through your little grommet thing, okay? And you got 2 options. One, you'll look in the bottom of your die and you'll see something like this, with the little decapping pin sticking out. And you'll go, "Oh great, this is the less drastic of the 2. I may actually save this." Now, if you're sizing old brass, especially the old military ones with the crimp in them, that is like 3 squares in a triangle, just throw them away. Don't even try. Every one I've ever done, they're very rare. Usually it's just a faint line around the primer pocket. That's the new way they crimp them. I don't know how new that is. It's probably older than I am, but they used to put 3 little squares in there. Them do not want to come out, and you'll see the primer still in here, and it will look like this sticking down out of the bottom of your die. Okay, when you see that and your pin is sticking up through, you can kiss it goodbye, because you can't line it up to bead on it, and when you do, it's going to break out a little tip off. So that's done. I can save this one, okay, because it came through. I did save this, and I got to beat it out. But okay, let's go through this. You got your die down in here. You got it adjusted. Okay, you put these in and you run them down tight. You got like a half a turn more. Okay, and then I screw the collar down tight. Okay, say I'm doing that, and boom, my little rod comes up through. It won't come off, it's stuck, right? You can try hitting the handle, but you're probably going to pop it over the brass, and that's usually what happens. The brass gives. Now you can take and turn this around, or turn your die around by loosening it, and try to grab another section, because it only grabs on the sides. You can see how that one, I think you'll be able to see it, that it's tore up on the sides. You turn around and you can try to grab it again. Now you can't ever use this brass because you've tore up the lip. Okay, so it's done. You know from the get-go the brass is done when it gets stuck. So if I can't get it out, I can try whapping on it, pulling on it. I can turn that around and try working it. You can even pop this off on the lead presses. You could even pop that out like that and turn your die over. And I do this even if it, I usually am impatient, so I usually it ends up popping off. No matter how, I ruined the whole lip on them usually. But so what you do is, I usually take, you need a 3/4 and a 1/2 inch wrench. I usually take the collet. That's what this thing's called, collet. I usually take that out and pull it up over, and then this will be in your die. You can't get it out, it's stuck. The expander ball is stuck inside here, unless you got some of the ones that don't have the expander ball up in here. Okay, I heard they're going to that. I know there's a couple different designs I went through, because trust me, I've lost a few of them pins. So one thing you can do is take this up out. Okay, this helps. Okay, you'll break a lot less stuff. Now you put it in upside down. Okay, get her to spin up in there. Okay, it'll come up through the top. Now your brass will be sitting in there. Okay, take some PB Blaster and use a little straw and put it around in there, so you have, a bunch of it sitting there. Leave it set for 5 minutes. Go get you something to drink, non-alcoholic preferably. Just relax. Okay, when you come back, you can get a brass plate or some other piece that's brass. You will be pushing on this pin that's coming down through. You can try moving it up against it and whacking on that. I've gotten one out like that, but usually you have to escalate more. You can leave it set overnight. Okay, and then once that's hopefully gotten down around in the brass that wasn't lubed good enough or has a dent in it. Sometimes I notice neck damage on the 223s really causes a lot of problems. Then once you get it down in there, now the point is not to burger this up, and this one's a little bit, because I think I know I've gotten this pin stuck before. But anyway, use a piece of brass on that pin, and you want to start out with a rubber hammer. I get half of them out with the rubber hammer before I have to get nasty and use a ball peen hammer. Okay, now if you have to get a bigger ball peen hammer than this little one, you're probably going to have issues. That's why you let the PB Blaster sit in there. You'll pound it down out, and this will fall down out eventually. Okay, when it comes out. Now, what you have to do is you have to get a hacksaw. You go up here about a 1/2 inch. Well, maybe 3/8, 1/4 to 3/8. You don't want to get up in there too far. You want to pull this down. You don't want it sticking out. You want to pour it down as far as you can. Cut along the bottom where it gets thin, because the bottom of it is tapered up to a certain point. Just cut around it very slowly. Okay, you don't have to get any high-speed rotary tools, because you don't want to nick up your decapping pin. Okay. Once you cut around it, you can take off the bottom of it and get that out, and then recycle the brass. If this ain't bent from beating it out, you can reuse it. Keep your dies clean. I notice after about 75 or so, they start getting gunky. When you take them apart after you've resized 100 rounds, they need cleaned. I mean, you have to take them out and re-clean them. Besides, sizing dies are easy to set. Run them down until you hit that, like a half a turn more, tighten to call it down, you're good. As long as this hits the bottom, you know, it's going to size it. And don't try to get cute and run it halfway down and do it the way the book says, okay? Lee dies come with all these instructions with them, and they give you some load stuff, cartridge sizes, load stuff, and inside of there is the instructions on how to use all of the dies, okay? Like this is a factory crimp die, and this is a bullet sealer, all of which needs to be cleaned usually every 100 rounds. You get the dipper with it, and you'll get your shell holder for the thing. Now the Lee dies, well, you'll notice I have some extra. Yeah, I always keep an extra. These work up through 30 cal. They're all the same size. The collets are, and they're cheap. So if you order off of Lee Precision, I go right to the factory. I mean, you can order from them. You don't get sales or anything, but you know, you get stuff right from them. I know these work up through 30 cals. I know they're the same with Mach 6s. I don't know how far up they actually go, but anyway, this is what your decapping pins look like. Yes, I have a few extra, and then I also have my other shell holder and my bullet length size. I got 3 of these extra because, well, you can save yourself postage if you order a whole bunch of them, and you're probably going to use them. But this little expander ball section in here, I've seen it different now. Here's one that's broke off. Okay, this is no good anymore. And what happened was, it's one of them rounds that was crimped, and whenever you see that rod push up through and you see that coming down out, well, the primer has not come out, you're going to lose the pin. I mean, there's no way to beat it out with you know, because you can't get it lined up and then hit it, and it didn't push the primer out to begin with. It ain't going to push it out now. So when you start beating on it, it just bends off and everything. So thought I had 2 extras. I only got, well, yeah, I got 2 extras here. But yeah, I'll get you some extra ones and put them in your dies. This is the easiest way, because then you ain't really stuck. But if you can get the primer out, that's half the battle. You can save the pin. If you can't get the primer out, you ain't going to save that little tip. I mean, I've had some of these that was bent up so bad they look deformed. But that's what happens when you start doing, you know, well, this was all Remington brass, which I thought would be cool. Of course, they shorted me brass, which I don't like it when they short me. I swear, that was one of the ones that I had already decapped. I was running it up in there again. I did not oil it. It got stuck. So that shows you how important oil is. If you're having a bunch of these get caught, oil them. Now the Lee dies, get you a Lee sizer. If you don't like Lee products, get you a Lee sizer. They got that hole in the side I showed you. They leave off the pressure. You won't. I mean, you have to slather it on there to even come close to getting it. Okay, but this is what happens. Now I got to sit here for 10 minutes and cut the back end of the shell off and try not to tear up this stuff. Then once you're done, you know, this goes back in, your decapper goes back in, and they stick up just a hair above it. So, and this is pipe thread. Okay. When you clean these dies, it's very important to actually clean them. I use Q-tips and these giant pipe cleaners I got, because if you don't clean them, they get gunked up. You know, very important. Keep them clean, because I mean, this is your sizing. I mean, so I hope it helps you. Make sure you don't strip out the pipe thread on this when you put it back in. Okay, and that's pretty simple. I mean, there's no moving parts on it, but like I said, keep it clean. Run the pipe cleaner through there. You know, keep them lubed up. I put gun oil on mine. Of course, I'm up in West Virginia, so it's very humid, and it's stuff rusts pretty easy. You got to watch it. I run a dehumidifier right here in the this is my storage / reloading room. But just, you know, you just gotta take care of stuff, because you can't mount it in, you know, a turret or in these quick change bushings and forget about it. So save your pins. Don't decap the military brass. Hey, later, YouTubers. And there you go. One safe decapping pin, one dead piece of brass, and 400 very scared brethren. You will be shot. Anyway, that's how you get it out. Now my hands are cramping and I'm done for the day. Later, YouTubers.